All right. Shalom Yasharala. Before we get started, we're going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachak and double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. And we're back with another video, another lesson. The title is going to be called Behold, and Evil Shall Come. All right. And I got a few articles we're going to look at. All right. Because those times are, well, we're in those times already. But as we continue to move on, in this world, in Esau's world, of course, great evils are going to set in. Matter of fact, I'll read a quick one from Matthew. Is it 24? This is Matthew 24:12. And it says, and because iniquity shall abound. Is it this one? I think it's 2 Timothy. Yeah. 2 Timothy 3:1. It says, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. All right. And we're in the last days. If you don't believe that, that's on you. I feel bad for you. But how do we know we're in the last days? Well, real quick, now we can go back to Matthew. Is it 16? Matthew 16, and I'll start at verse 1. It says, the Pharisees also with the Sadducees came, and tempting desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven. He answered and said unto them, when it is evening, ye say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning, it will be foul weather today, for the sky is lead and lowering. It says, O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but can ye not discern the signs of the times? All right. And he was telling them, he was getting on the Pharisees and Sadducees, saying, you can discern, the times of the face of the sky, like us. Right now it's cloudy, may rain. Tomorrow's maybe it'll look sunny. All right. So you can discern the weather, but you can't discern of the things that's going on around you, like this right here. All right. From End Time Headlines, Trump to deploy 2,000 National Guard troops to L.A. County to combat violent protests. All right, and this came out June 7th. It said, is that today? Yeah, that's yesterday. It said the Trump administration announced the deployment of 2,000 National Guard troops to Los Angeles County in response to escalating protests against immigration raids conducted by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is ICE. The decision follows 2 days of intense clashes between federal immigration agents and hundreds of demonstrators in Paramount, California, a predominantly Latino community located about 20 miles south of downtown Los Angeles. The unrest began on Friday, June 6, 2025, after ICE conducted a series of immigration raids across Los Angeles, detaining at least 44 individuals suspected of immigration violations. The operations targeted various locations, including Home Depot stores, a clothing warehouse, and a donut shop, according to immigrant rights advocates. These raids sparked immediate backlash, with protests erupting outside the Los Angeles Federal Building and spreading to Paramount by Saturday. Demonstrators chanting slogans like "Fewer ICE, ICE get out, and set them free, let them stay," expressed outrage over what they describe as aggressive and indiscriminate enforcement tactics. Clashes intensified as protesters confronted federal agents, including Border Patrol, FBI, and U.S. Marshals Service personnel who were deployed to support ICE. Law enforcement used tear gas, flashbang grenades, and rubber bullets to disperse crowds, while some protesters reportedly threw rocks, set fires, and vandalized property, including a U.S. Marshal bus. Let's get a quick one. All right, we're in 2nd Esdras, so I'll just read this one. 2nd Esdras 16. I'm going to start at the top. Where is it 15? Yeah, we're going to read 2nd Esdras 15, but we'll read 16 as well. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. All right? And woe means destruction. It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. All right, and that's what's gonna come to. Now you got a protest going on, and I don't think they have guns out there, but the police may. But I don't think the civilians do. But that's what's gonna come to eventually. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. All right, for there shall be sedition among men. All right, we saying what does sedition mean? Let's look that up. Let's look up sedition. Define sedition. All right.
Sedition.
It says conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or monarch. All right. Let me see. It says sedition. What is a simple definition of sedition? Sedition is the legal act of inciting people to resist or rebel against the government in power. And you see that right now. People are resisting. They're resisting the government that's in power. These ICE agents. All right. It says they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. All right. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. And it's gonna come to a point where it's gonna. That's why they send in what these people called National Guard. And martial laws gonna be in place. Meaning you can't. Let's look at what martial law is, just to define martial. Oh boy. Martial law. It says martial law is the temporary replacement of civilian authority by military rule, typically invoked during emergencies like war, civil unrest, all right, what you see right now, or natural disasters when civilian law enforcement is unable to maintain order. During martial law, military authorities take over, and the civilian legal system is suspended or replaced by military tribunals, potentially leading to restrictions on civil liberties like freedom of movement and speech. All right. And you're going to, martial laws will be implemented. Can't go nowhere. You got to be in the house by a certain time. Okay. It says, because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. All right. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation. All right, famine, when there's no food, because they're gonna, I believe this could be like a test or something. Could be like a little test run. When they really shut this place down. When let's say the grid goes out. All right, there's no food, nothing in the stores, and when there's nothing in the stores, when people can't eat, they go crazy. They start to act like beasts. They're gonna, like we read, it says they're gonna invade one another. Rob your house, take whatever you got. That's the times we're coming into. That's the time of Jacob's trouble. Let's read that real quick. Jeremiah 30:7, right? It says, I start at 5. It says, for thus saith the Lord, whose name is Yahweh. All right, his son's name is Yahweh Shai. It says, for thus saith the Lord Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear and not of peace. All right. It says, ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Right. The men give birth to babies. All right. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Look at this word paleness. All right. Paleness. It says mildew, paleness, lividness, mildew, rust. Down here it says paleness, whether of persons from fright. All right, and what does fright mean? It says a sudden intense feeling of fear. All right, fear, fearfulness, terror, horror. Okay, uneasiness, nervousness. All right, so people gonna be there's gonna be a spirit of terror out here, a spirit of fear when this time comes. Verse 7, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And that's the time we're coming into. Every day that goes by, we're getting closer and closer to that time. but he shall be saved out of it. And who's the he? The he are the elect of the of the Israelites, of course. But they're the ones gonna be saved. They're the ones gonna be taken care of. Have no worries in the world, right? So let's go back to the article and finish it out if we can. And I got something else. It says, where we at with it? It says Thomas D. Homan, President Trump's border czar, hope I said that right, announced a National Guard deployment during a Fox News interview on Saturday evening, stating, "We are already mobilizing. We're going to bring the National Guard in tonight. We're going to continue doing our job." California Governor Gavin Newsom confirmed the federal government's request to deploy 2,000 California National Guard soldiers, noting that the Trump administration was moving to take over the state's guard. However, Newsom criticized the move as purposefully inflammatory, arguing that local law enforcement was capable of managing the situation. The deployment marks a significant escalation in the Trump administration's immigration enforcement strategy, which has prioritized mass deportations since taking office. The decision has drawn sharp criticism from local leaders, including Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, who accused ICE of using tactics designed to sow terror in communities. In response, ICE acting director Todd Lyons, hope that's right, and other federal officials accused Bass of siding with chaos and lawlessness over law enforcement. All right, and we can get a video if we can. Just a quick one. What is it? National Guard. Just type in National Guard and see what comes up. So let's look at one of these. Something short and to the point. We can look at this one. That's 5 minutes, but I'm not gonna play the whole thing. This is from NBC News. This is fair use, fair use. We're not making no money off of this. All right, fair use. Okay, the National Guard arrives in Los Angeles after ICE raid protests. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit too. So I'll play like
word that the National Guard has arrived in Los Angeles. This is important because unlike the way you normally think about the National Guard, by the way, I just want to make sure these are images from last night. This is not the National Guard involved in this. The National Guard, we do not have images of the National Guard in Los Angeles yet. But governor is activating the National Guard. And there's a lot of history and material in the Constitution about why that's the case. The National Guard in California has not been activated by the governor. It has been federalized by Donald Trump. The Trump administration said last night it would be sending the National Guard to L.A. in response to protests over immigration enforcement operations. Overnight, demonstrators clashed with law enforcement. Officials responded with tear gas. It's another discussion about whether they should be using tear gas on protesters. A lot of countries think it should be illegal. Some demonstrators set vehicles on fire and blocked major roadways. The protests are in response to a sweeping ICE operation in the Southern California region, particularly at a local Home Depot. Last night, President Trump said he would deploy 2,000 National Guard troops to the L.A. area. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass called the move unnecessary. California Governor Gavin Newsom, who nominally holds the power, as all governors do, to deploy the National Guard in their state, said it would create a spectacle. He accused the Trump administration of moving to take over the California National Guard. The Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, going further. He tweeted this morning, quote, "The National Guard and Marines, if need be, stand with ICE." There's a lot of
the Marines. The Marines coming in, But this is, like I said, this is my opinion. I think this is a test run. This could all, because we know Esau, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, and we know it's a war on Jake, against the tribes, because they know who we are. But it's like I said, it could also be a test run for when the real deal comes,
Problems with that, by the way. The use of the military to do policing and law enforcement work is actually not allowed without a very specific exception, and that is the invocation of the Insurrection Act. Donald Trump's appointed border czar, Tom Homan, warned that both officials could face arrest. He's talking about Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom if they impede federal authorities' work. NBC's Jacob Soboroff spoke to Tom Homan exclusively last night.
There have been threats, previously that if you stand in the way of your enforcement operations, you could be subject potentially to arrest. Are you saying that about?
So you can watch the rest of that if you like, or you just go on YouTube and type in National Guard, California. All right, and this is part of prophecy. Let's get Is it Ezekiel 7:5? Let's get that. Ezekiel 7, verse 5, it says, "Thus said the Lord Yahweh," all right, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, "and evil, and only evil, behold, is come. An end is come, the end is come. It watcheth for thee, behold, it is come." So the end is coming. The end of this world is on the way. Evil is on the way. It said evil shall grow. Is that in, I think that's in Apocrypha. Evil shall grow. Yeah, let's go over here. It's probably the next chapter, 16. This second Ezra 16. Yeah, I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. I'll start at 17. It says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Now, scourges is like punishment, all right? And amendment is correction. And who's he sending these for? The Lord is sending these things on his people. Yeah, he's sending the punishment on the world, but he's sending it particularly for the Israelites, for them to repent. But what does it say? But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges, the punishments. Behold, victuals, which is food, all right, provisions, shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. And you're seeing that. All right, evils are growing, man. As every day that goes by, evil's gonna continually grow and grow. Let's go back to that Matthew. Matter of fact, this is Matthew 24:12. It says, "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." People are, just cold-hearted out here. That's what they say in the world, cold-hearted. They don't have no care in the world. You look at that word cold, in the Greek, it's the word psycho. See that?
Strong's G 5594. Psucho.
Sucho, right? To breathe, blow, cool by blowing. Definition right here, metaphor of waning love. People, it's not a natural affection out here anymore. It even says that in the 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter. So I got another one. I could read this. Ecclesiastes 12:1. It says, "Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them, while the sun, or the light, or the moon, or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened." What are grinders? It's like work, working, right? Grinders, tachan, to grind, crush, to be a concubine, that being their employment, right? So that's employment. "And the doors shall be shut in the streets, when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low." And the job market is terrible. You can't find a job nowadays. People out here losing their jobs, getting laid off, and AI is replacing them, right? I got another one. I shouldn't have deleted it. Oh, I have it right here. Amazon prepares testing for humanoid robots to deliver packages. And you can read this on your own. All these ads, man. Like, for what? All right, I'll read a little bit. Amazon, the global e-commerce giant valued at $2 trillion, is reportedly developing software to power humanoid robots designed to revolutionize its package delivery system. So they're getting ready to replace people, man. All right, I work at Amazon myself. I work in the building. They already got, the robot arm. It can make pallets, and they got the, it's an automated pallet jack. If you know what a pallet jack, if you work in a warehouse, you know what a pallet jack is. But this one is automated. It goes from one side to the other, So they already, moving forward. They even got the AI in the system already. You know, so they're already moving forward with this stuff. All right, and like I said, you can read this on your own. I'm not gonna go that deep into it, but people's jobs are getting taken. Now they're talking. Now this is another one. Now they're talking about a different virus. Scientists warn of a new virus discovered in China being one small step away from triggering a endemic. A newly identified, Rona, it says HKU5-CoV2 discovered in bats. It's always bats. In China, has sparked alarm among scientists due to its potential to trigger a global endemic. American researchers warn that this, virus closely related to the deadly Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome is just one small mutation away from being able to infect humans and cause widespread outbreaks. And we know, disease is on the way, right? Let's get Ezekiel. I know it's one of Ezekiel I like to bring out. Ezekiel 14, I think it's 21, outside of 20. It says, though Noah, Daniel, and Job were in it, as I live, said the Lord Yahweh, they shall deliver neither son nor daughter. They shall but deliver their own souls by their righteousness. And Noah, Daniel, and Job represent the elect, because they were the elect men of their day, right? For thus said the Lord power, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, how much more when I send my four sword judgments upon Jerusalem? Now we know Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. The sword, the famine, and the noisome beast, and the pestilence, to cut off from it man and beast. So we know pestilence is prophesied as well. That's on the way. Let's go to Luke 21. And 10, it says, Then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and great earthquakes shall be in divers places, and famines, and pestilences, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. And we seeing that, solar eclipses, blood moons, red moons, shooting stars, all of that. These are the signs of our Lord's return, the things to come. All right. And as we continue on, we're going to start seeing more signs. You're going to start seeing more people, dropping dead. And the Lord's going to increase the numbers. And maybe now it's, hundreds. Then it's going to be thousands. It's going to be 20,000, 30,000, then 100,000. Next thing you know, a million. It's the death is going to increase, man. We're going to be literally we're going to live through this, Lord willing. We not, if we're not martyrs, which, that's okay too. But this is what we have to prepare for spiritually and in our minds, man. Isaiah 33:6, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. So these are the things that's coming. What's this one? You got this. Goldman Sachs warns U.S. power grid nearing collapse as AI and EVs overwhelm aging infrastructure. So the power may go out. And when the power goes out, then what? Your refrigerator stops working. And we don't know when that's going to happen. We're not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. It may happen, it could. It could happen, because you could go to sleep one night, wake up, the whole world different. So, behold, an evil shall come. The evil is on the way. We already, in a great time of evil, but it's going to get more and more, it's going to increase. So Lord's will, this was edifying for you brothers and your sisters out there, all right, to listen and learn. We gonna give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Chakwadash, and double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Lord's will, you was edified. Till next video, I'm gonna say, Shalom.